Welcome to this episode of the Route 281 podcast, where I sit down with Austin Lee. He is a member of the Army National Guard, and he is employed as a probation officer. We are thankful for his service, and we are happy to spend some time with him today. We hope you enjoy this episode. Please like and subscribe. Okay. We're walking and rolling. You can go ahead and put these on there. It's just so you can hear yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a volume button if it's too loud. It's on there, but go ahead and pull that up to your schnoz pretty close.
Good here?
Yeah, you're good there. That's probably good. Yeah, Austin Lee, nice to finally meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Officially.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming out here to do this. The military is an interest of mine. One of my regrets, I never joined.
Yeah.
But I'm just fascinated by it. I appreciate everybody who serves. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for the support.
So you graduated from Rockwood High School, and then went on to UPJ, or did you go right into the National Guard after that?
Yeah, I went to boot camp 2 months after I graduated.
2 months after you graduated. Okay, where did you end up going?
I went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Fort Leonard Wood, okay.
16 weeks there.
Now, does most of the National Guard go to Fort Leonard Wood?
They have a couple different spots. I think Fort Benning, Fort Jackson, Fort Sill, that's Oklahoma, and then Fort Leonard Wood.
Okay.
I think those are the main ones for basic training.
Yeah. Whenever I looked into National Guard, I was just turning 35. I said this before to Joe on his episode, but they were going to send me to Fort Leonard Wood if I joined.
Okay.
And I was turning 35. I'm like, if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it. And then I realized that the Navy would take you up to 40.
Oh, yeah?
So I looked into that again later, but just didn't pan out for me. I had 3 kids at that point. Like, no.
Yeah.
I got to stay home. But,
Yeah.
Episode 4, Austin Lee. He serves in the Army National Guard, and you're a probation officer for the Somerset County.
Yep, that's correct.
Cool. So here, everybody gets a gift. There's your hat. So anybody with those hats are people that have been on this podcast.
Okay.
So
I got something for you, too.
nice.
I got my unit.
Get out of jail free card.
Yeah. So this is what we wear on our left shoulder. So right shoulder we have the U.S. flag. Left shoulder we have, at least for my unit, the Keystone patch. So called the Bloody Bucket.
Nice.
Now what we wear in uniform it's black, so subdued.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's more of our official dress uniform.
I appreciate that. Thanks for
yeah.
thinking of that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, knock this. The line's not sheep. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I got the state police patch up there now.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't see that.
Yeah, just having to get new uniforms. They take them off the old uniform.
Okay,
So,
cool.
So you had to basic training right after high school, and then so what was your contract like? Or you're still serving?
Yeah,
correct?
still currently. So my initial contract, I'm old enough to say that I'm in my second contract now.
Okay.
But yeah, my first contract was 6 years. I didn't get any sign-on bonuses or anything like that. I don't think recruiting and retention was as low as it is now, as it was then. So it was 2017. My recruiter, I was his first guy, so I kind of got lucky with that in the sense of not being lied to. He didn't learn all of his tricks yet. So
okay.
Yeah, I
wanted to ask you about that. But.
Yeah, so I got a pretty truthful guy start out. Now I know guys that got with them later, and they got a couple curveballs, but for the most part, he was a combat engineer, which is what my job is, and he's like, yeah, that would be a good one for you. So I started looking into it, dealing with demos, so you're blowing stuff up, shooting guns, and all kinds of cool stuff. So I was like, yeah, that'd be all right. So didn't get any sign-on bonuses or anything at that point in time. 17 years old, not thinking about money really.
Yeah, right.
So I think all the benefits that he had written in my contract, because I wanted to go to school still So he put in there for me to get all the schooling and GI Bill and GI kicker, stuff like that. Extra couple stipends for each month at school and stuff like that.
Nice.
So it helped out a lot because full-time student, you can't really work.
Right. Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
It's tough to do both.
Yeah.
I've been in both situations, and I appreciated whenever I was able to do school and only focus on school.
Right.
Because it's tough doing both.
Yeah.
So you signed up at 17?
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, your parents had to sign for you, correct, when you're 17?
Yeah, so about that, my mom's worried sick about it. My dad's not overly enthused, but he's like, they both support it, but they're sending their kid off, potentially war could kick off, something happens. So, that's worst case scenario in the back of their head. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was in the locker room. It's like 7th period, and recruiter was going to come down to the house, and, well, 2 recruiters because he was still in training. And I get a text at like, I don't know, 1:30, something like that. Mom's like, I just have a bad feeling about this. I told them not to come. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this isn't your life, Mom. What the heck? And so, there was that. And then I was like, you call him back right now. You tell him, come down to the house. I'm at least going to talk to him. I'm not signing any paperwork tonight,
So, she was just testing you to see how committed you were.
maybe. But, definitely a lot of, like, when you're that young, you don't know really anything.
Right.
So, like, I knew I wanted to go military and serve the country, and I knew that I also wanted to go to school, mainly to go still continue wrestling. Mm-hmm. That was my biggest thing. So, I was like, I want to go to school. I want to do military. And then I talked to a Marine recruiter, and he was an active duty guy. And I was like, wait, I can't go to school. And I never put 2 and 2 together. That you can't do active duty. I mean, you could do online stuff, sure. Mm-hmm. But you couldn't go be a collegiate athlete while in the active duty service. And so it was like a learning process during it. And got hooked up with the National Guard recruiter, and I was like, this would fit what I'm trying to do.
Right. Would you say that you were fairly goal-oriented growing up, and, like, you realized that about yourself as you got older? Like, you had somewhat of a plan.
Yeah.
Kind of knew.
Yeah. Main goal was I wanted to get in law enforcement. So, like, initially I wanted to be a state trooper. That plan hasn't worked out yet, but wanted to go to school. I really wanted to wrestle in college. I was given that opportunity, blessed there.
You wrestled at UPJ, right?
Yeah. Cool. So was able to do that. So far, I've hit those main goals in my, early adult life, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But wanted to go to the military, wanted to go to school, wanted to wrestle at school, and I was able to do all 3, and it's worked out so far.
Yeah. So you were already pretty physically fit when you went to basic.
Yeah, wrestling helped out a lot with that.
Yeah. So you're good friends with my cousin Gabe.
Yeah.
Shout out to Gabe.
Yeah, Gabe.
And then also, I've known your dad basically my whole life. Mm-hmm. Worked with your dad. So what's up, Ben? And yeah, he doesn't know it yet, but he's coming on as my rattlesnake expert at some point.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But since you say that, I looked up a couple statistics, and 71% of today's youth do not comply with military physical fitness or military standards because of obesity, drugs, physical and mental health. That's shocking.
It's disgusting.
71% do not comply. I found that to be, kind of shocking. So you had a good recruiting experience.
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
I did.
That's good. Yeah, because you hear stories, and I don't know why that is. I don't know why and that's one of the reasons that I didn't pull the trigger was I felt like I wasn't getting straight answers.
Yeah.
And that's a deterrent for people. I don't know why they do that, because in my situation, you got a wife and kids at home. I kind of need to know.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? When you're younger and you're like, pull the trigger no matter what.
Yeah.
There's that.
Yeah.
But for, I just couldn't get straight answers on the GI Bill.
Yeah.
But that was that. So what ultimately led you into joining the National Guard versus any other branch and then just joining in general?
So the Guard fit my after school plans. Like I said, I was able to go to college, get college paid for, 90% of college paid for.
That's awesome.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I'm paid off.
That's great.
It's awesome.
Yeah, because, you don't want to come out with a mountain load of debt.
No.
And especially into a job that you can't pay the debt off or something. But, yeah,
right.
Good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's the least they can do for serving.
Yeah, I was able to, I figured out a lot more as I went, but what can they do for me?
Yeah.
That you got to kind of, like, obviously you sign up for selfless reasons.
Mm-hmm. Because there's a potential for deployment.
Yeah.
You're serving your country.
And hey, this is a great country.
Mm-hmm.
And why not be a part of it?
Right.
And so that led me to wanting to be in the military. And I was like in 9th grade one time. I was at the Fayette County Fair. They had a pull-up competition thing. And they had the Marine recruiters there. And they said if you did 26 pull-ups, you get a T-shirt. I was like, that's a pretty cool looking T-shirt.
Yeah.
And you got the name on the board.
Yeah.
You did 26. So I was like, okay. So I cranked out 26 pull-ups. Wow. Then the Marine recruiter said he had a recruit counting them for me, and he like turned his back and saw my pull-ups. He said they weren't good enough or whatever. So I would have gave you like 20. I was whatever. He said, I'll give you a shirt though. So that's what's like piqued my interest in it, because I was like, this is something that I want to be a part of. Like any military movie, those are freaking cool.
Yeah.
I know it's Hollywood and they hype them up, but young kid, that's what you're looking at. You're like, that's pretty sweet. So that got me into it. Freedom's cool, and to be a part of fighting for freedom.
Yeah, right.
It's a little bit of a, without being arrogant, it's like having a good chip on your shoulder. Like,
yeah. Absolutely. It's a sense of pride in your country. It gives you a sense of pride in something.
Yeah.
I wish more young people saw it that way, and I think it's coming around a little bit. One of the other statistics I looked up is that just recently the Army has had their best recruiting month in 15 years at like 350 recruits a day.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they're on schedule to hit their recruiting record for the year. They're already at 59% just in we're into March.
That's awesome.
2 months into the year, they're already at 59% of their recruiting.
Yeah.
And I think that has a lot to do with Pete Hegseth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, obviously in President Trump.
Right.
People want to serve under a competent president.
I agree. That's who I initially signed under.
Yeah. And, you saw it down over the past 4 years. It's unfortunate, but there's probably reasons for that. But I think the priorities are coming around to what they should be.
Yeah, and retention has a big part in that too, is keeping guys in.
Yeah.
The whole DEI stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that kicked guys away.
Did you see any of that when you were in there?
Yes, but again, my unit's full of guys from Pittsburgh and everything like that, and it's not
blue collar upbringing.
Well, my best friend from the military, he's a city slicker from McKeesport, dude. Yeah. Like, it's pretty much as hood as I've ever been around.
Really?
But you can mesh that.
Yeah.
You're all in the same suck, and you create good friends. But like, we all have the same this is kind of all this ultra liberal stuff is like, we don't need that.
Yeah.
And we do this 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer, and sometimes more, depending on how hard you want to go into it. But these guys aren't just dealing with the military, so they got different points of view coming in.
Yeah.
I mean, you got school teachers, POs, cops, firefighters, whatever, and they're also in the military, so like they have an outside point of view as well.
And they do a good job of creating a cohesive unit, no matter what your background is.
Yeah.
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 I had a good friend I worked with in the Union. He was, oddly enough, he joined the Army National Guard. He was out from McKeesport.
Okay.
Probably not the same guy as Dorian, but anyway, yeah. D, he called me Tango.
Tango.
We would be on the scaffolding, and he was teaching me how to pivot.
Okay.
You know, he was showing me all this stuff. He's like, Tango, your pivot's good. You can go. And that's what, talk with him kind of got me into it. But,
yeah.
It is contagious.
Yeah.
You spend some, like you said, watch a movie, somebody, you go spend some time around somebody.
Yeah.
So,
as a young man, why wouldn't you want to be like, follow through with that masculine mentality?
Go get in shape, be a part of something greater than yourself.
Yeah, be a man.
Yeah.
Being a man's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree 100%. We need more of them.
Yeah.
So what was your talk about the ASVAB first. So what's that?
I don't know what it stands for. I know the word battery's in it somewhere.
It's essentially a test, right?
Yeah, it's a great big test. I think it's out of 99.
Do you do this before you go?
Yeah, so I took when I was talking with the Marine recruiter, he had me do like a short snippet of one, and I scored like 69 on it. He's like, oh yeah, you can pretty much do whatever you want. Not true, but I think to be a grunt, you only need a 20 or something super low. So he's like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. I'm like, okay. And then, so then I started talking to the National Guard recruiter. He's like, yeah, we'll sign you in for being a combat engineer. Good to go on that. And then I was talking to some other guys that have prior service, and they're like, well, what are you trying to be? I said, oh, I'm going to be a combat engineer. He's like, how do you know? You didn't even take an ASVAB. I was like, I don't know. And so I get the MEPS when you're doing duck walk and checking your butt and everything else like that. And so that I took my ASVAB there. Luckily, I passed the score I needed to be a combat engineer, which I don't think is very high, because we've had some dumb dudes in my unit. Probably a couple waivers signed on those, but yeah. So ASVAB, you do a bunch of memory stuff and some math, and like you're looking at the gears and like there's like 6 gears, and it's like, which way would this top one spin if whatever.
Yeah.
It's been so long ago.
Like an overall kind of
just an overall
type.
Yeah, you're trying to figure out where you stand on each, where your strengths, where your weaknesses. Now the one score out of the ASVAB is called your GT score, and I'm gonna turn this down a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Your GT score, and I think for like most of the stuff you want to be like special forces, Rangers, stuff like that, your GT score has to be like a 110. And I think that stands for General Technician. I could be wrong. I'm most likely wrong, but I think that's what it is. And so like that's what they really base things off of. So if your GT score is high, you have a better chance of getting into different schools and programs like that.
Okay.
So I think my GT score is a 111. So I think that's the only thing, at least for me, that has mattered out of that test.
Right. So yeah, that leads me kind of into the next question. Was what was your job, or what you call it, MOS, right?
Yeah, MOS, military occupation specialty. So it's a 12 Bravo, like I said, which is a combat engineer. So we're engineers. The engineer castle. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Mm-mm.
Just a little castle thing. That's our insignia.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? Now maybe I think I have.
Yeah. Oh well, the Corps of Engineers, like at the Yacht and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So
maybe
that's that. Yeah.
Okay.
You've definitely seen that then. So yeah, that's our regiment.
Is that what you studied at UPJ then? Engineering? Or?
No.
Okay.
No, I went for criminal justice.
Oh, which makes sense.
Yeah,
what you're
yeah.
doing, wanting to be a cop.
Yeah, but yeah. So engineer regiment, which is all of your horizontal engineers, vertical engineers. So horizontal is like running big equipment and stuff like that, and then vertical would be your plumbers and electricians, all that stuff. But we get to do the cool guy stuff, play with C4, crater charges, all kinds of crazy explosives. It's awesome. we set charges on doors, blow doors in. It's the coolest thing ever.
Nice.
But and we also get to shoot, run and gun. So the point of a combat engineer is to you get attached a squad of engineers. So in a squad there's like 9, roughly 2 teams, squad leader. So there's about 9 of you, and you get attached to a platoon of infantry guys. So we do all the I can't think of the word. Like if there's a bunch of concertina wire trying to block you from getting somewhere, we'd set Bangalores in there, blow those so that the infantry guys can come through and do whatever they got to do. So,
so a lot of times you're kind of in front.
Yeah. So I mean, every type of every job in the military always says they lead the way. We say engineers lead the way, right? SA-ons, that's our like motto. Yeah. But Rangers, they lead the way. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sappers lead the way. Yeah. They all say it. But in all seriousness, we do lead the way. In a situation like that, we would go out front, clear minefields, stuff like that. My unit's a light unit, so we're on foot. Okay. Mechanized is when you have the vehicles and stuff like that, but we're a light unit, so we do all the ground pounding with a light infantry unit. Mm-hmm. Try to clear it out so that they can come through and do their thing.
So your guard unit based out of the Armory here in Somerset? Or
no, I'm in Hiller, which is outside of Brownsville, by Cal U. Mm-hmm. Yeah, little hole in the ground.
So do you... you're in your second... You re-upped, right?
Yeah.
So how long are you in? How long does your contract go?
So my first contract was 6 years. So it started the day I raised my hand in 2017. Active guys don't have that luxury. It starts the day they leave for basic. Mm-hmm. So I was actually drawing a paycheck every month from the October 11th. So I would just go do a thing to prep me up to go to basic. But so my first one was 6 years. And then in 2022, well, my contract would have been up in 23. In 22, I signed a year early and did another 4 years. So this contract will end in 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, can you talk about basic a little bit?
Yeah.
And I guess one of the main reasons I wanted you to come on, because I'm interested, but I think like 50% is another statistic. 50% of youth admit to knowing little to nothing about military or military service.
Yeah.
So, and my priority is this is a local podcast, but I want to fill in people that are thinking about this, that are 17, 18, 20, whatever. Hey, I was 35 and interested. So,
right.
There's a huge age range there, but the guys and gals that are interested. So, I know it's one of the things that I was interested in, the basic. I wanted to know the details,
Yeah.
So, but any good stories or just, what's it like leaving, going, getting there.
Yeah.
The sergeants and stuff like that.
You had drill sergeants.
Yeah.
Nightmares.
Really?
Oh, so I'll preface it with this. So I've never ridden a plane before, right? At this point, I'm 18, graduated high school, and this is the first time I've ever left home. Never been on a plane before. Don't know how the airport works, right? Jump on a plane and tell my parents goodbye twice. It's already hard enough you tell them goodbye. Well, I wasn't ready to board the plane yet. And I come back, I have to turn around, tell them goodbye again, and it's another hysterical breakdown. I'm like, of course, that's my luck, Get on the plane, and God works in mysterious ways, because I sat right next to a prior service Marine, and he's like, "Hey, where are you heading?" Because he knew I was just lost.
Yeah.
I had the worst seat. I'm sitting in between him and some other woman in the middle. I know how to pick a seat on an airplane now. But he's like, where are you going? I said, I'm going to boot camp. He's like, oh yeah, where you, what are you getting into and all that stuff. I tell him. where I'm heading, and he's like, well, best piece of advice I can give you is embrace the suck. And that's the first I'd ever heard that. Now, that's a big military, what do you want to call it, slogan. Everybody says it, but that's the first time I was introduced to that. And that hit me. I'm like, man, this does suck, but whatever, let's go, So, land in St. Louis, Missouri, and the recruiter told me where I'm going to walk to and do this and that. I'm walking around aimlessly. I'm like, here I am, 18 years old, never left home. I'm lost in St. Louis. I don't know what I'm doing. I call him up. He's like, oh, you got to go and get on the shuttle and go down here and do this and that. So I go to this USO. That's what it's called. I don't know what that stands for. But it's a thing for military members to go hang out, eat, do whatever. And then a bus was going to pick us up, take us to Fort Leonard Wood. So get to Fort Leonard Wood at 1 in the morning. Haven't slept at all. I can't sleep. I'm too worked up.
Mm-hmm.
There was dudes passed out in the corner at the USO, but I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
And so get down there, and then you do this thing called reception. So you're there for a week, get all your shots, get your uniforms, get your teeth checked, all that stuff, all the stuff that sucks. And then there's guys there that have been there for 7 weeks. I'm like, is that a common thing? He's like, yeah, well, this happened, that happened. I'm like, dude, I do not want to be here for 7 weeks. And the rumor going around was that Fort Leonard Wood was getting investigated because their recruits coming into reception, they had the highest rate of suicides at that time.
Wow.
Yeah, just at reception. And, not that I was thinking that or anything, but I was like, why? Is it that bad? I got there July 18th. And they already had 27 suicides in July.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
That's what I heard through they call it the private news network.
Yeah.
So everybody's a private at that age, at that time. But that's what the information I was getting. I was like, oh, my God. I don't.
Yeah,
I got to get out of here.
That's not what you want to hear. You're like, oh, is it that bad?
Yeah.
So you're not training at that point?
Not yet.
Okay. So you're
not
just
yet.
hanging out, doing all your medical stuff.
Yeah.
So they kind of ease you in a little bit because you're.
Not quite.
Okay.
This is cake.
Okay.
Right? I was taking naps, hanging out with the boys, calling the boys, but I didn't know them that great.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the two guys, so I was 005 in the line coming off the bus, 006 and 007. I still talk to those two guys today.
Okay. Cool.
So we clicked real quick. They were cool guys. And so I'm at Fort Leonard Wood for 16 weeks. So it's called One Station Unit Training, or OSUT. And so other places, they'll go to boot camp and then they'll go to their AIT. Mine was all in one thing.
Okay.
But yeah, so get loaded on these cattle trailers when we're going to basic. And you can hear the cadences, they're marching.
A cattle trailer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Packing you.
Oh, yeah. Dude, yeah. You would not believe how many privates you can fit onto.
Right? Yeah.
So
you got a little bit of sawdust in there for you?
Well, it was cleaned up in that sense.
All right.
There were some seats, but half sat, half stood, and you could pack 210 privates in that thing, all with rucksacks.
Jeez.
Hell yeah, they made it happen.
Okay.
But anyway, these were buses. They weren't cattle trailers yet. Yeah, we got packed on the buses, and but it was so cool because I just kept thinking of Vietnam era. These dudes are marching, and the cadences are so cool. Drill sergeants screaming and yelling. Let's go.
It's kind of what you'd pictured when you pulled. Yeah.
Yeah, and so drill sergeant, he's on the bus. We're sitting there, and this is the first day. He says, on behalf of the President of the United States, welcome to Fort Leonard Wood. Goes all the way down the chain of command. On behalf of so-and-so who's running Fort Leonard Wood at the time, all the way down. And he says, and on behalf of the drill sergeants, put your effing face in the bag. And this dude, Drill Sergeant Vetter, I will never forget this guy. The way he screamed that day, it sounded like Satan himself came out of this dude's lungs. I was like, no way. This is crazy. Bury my face in my bag. We drive over to where I'm going to be stationed at for now. And then the shark attack, the infamous shark attack. You ever hear of that?
You know what?
They don't do it anymore.
No, I mean, I listened to a lot of Sean Ryan.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So go ahead, fill us in.
So, shark attack is when... So we were on a quad. So Alpha Company, Bravo, Charlie, Delta of 30...
I didn't know they had sharks in Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Yeah. Well, they'll show you.
Okay.
I think I was 35th or 31st. One of the two, I forget. I think 31st. So where I was going was Alpha 31st. Well, every drill sergeant, and there's like probably 3 for every platoon and 7. There's probably like 28 drill sergeants and just out of this quad, and they all just wait for you to get off the bus and just start. They're just on you. You got to run here, hold your bag over your head, and your bag starts getting heavy, even though it's like 20 pounds. Thing starts weighing a million. And I remember I was running. I had my bag over my head. And this dude falls right in front of me. I don't know how. I'm not a track runner. I hurdled this dude. He fell. I was like, there's no way I'm getting caught up in this. I hurdled him. And if I was one step ahead, I was going to get what this kid in front of me got. There's a dumpster. This kid's running. Drill sergeant comes out from behind the dumpster, grabs the bag, goes to throw it. The kid doesn't let go of the bag. It was just a noodle.
Yeah.
Throws the kid with the bag. I was like, oh my. I just keep trucking. I don't even look back. Yeah. Screw this. So they line us up and everything else like that, and we're just getting screamed at and stupid stuff. One drill sergeant's in your face here telling you to take your hat off. This one's screaming in your face telling you to put your hat on. You know, It's just a whole bunch of chaos, and that's what it's there for. You know, see how you do under stress. And I wouldn't do it again, but I'd like to be a fly on the wall. And watch it all over again.
Yeah, I think it's always like a curiosity thing for me because I mean I was so close to pulling that trigger, but I think it would have been interesting.
Yeah,
I've heard stories just from talking to people. One dude I knew hid some candy in the ceiling tile in the barracks, and they all got busted for it.
Yeah,
if one person does something like that, you know, they all get smoked.
Yeah,
nobody likes you for a while.
Yeah. So that happened with us. These guys were in holdover bay, so I think we could only hold 60 people in our one bay. So a couple other kids were over here. And it was guys that were on crutches and guys that didn't make it through or whatever. They're holding them there, and somehow they got their hands on white monsters. And white monsters like a delicacy when you're on any military base. I don't know why, but they love it. Kid got his hands on monster, and it was in a completely different bay. I've never even seen that bay. And one drill sergeant started saying that we're all hiding stuff. I was like, I never even heard of this. Yeah. And we got freaking investigations and hosed and everything else. I was like, holy cow. I didn't do anything, dude. I'm being a good little soldier.
Right. The group gets punished as a whole.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I gotta ask, is the peanut butter shot real?
I didn't get it.
Okay. And you can turn it down?
I didn't even get offered it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you've heard of it?
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I think some guys got it.
And that's just
it's penicillin. I think.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, this buddy of mine. He's like, I got it, and I don't even know what it does, but I'm like, I've heard what it does.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it's a family.
They've made me take some pills that I had no idea what they were. I walked with my hands down by my side, opened up my mouth, they dropped a pill in there.
To this day, don't know what it was.
Nope. No idea.
Yeah.
Probably you'll see it on the commercial one day.
Yeah. Well, let's hope not. No side effects from it, I guess.
I don't think.
Not to this point, right? Yeah. So, can you talk a little bit about the format of the National Guard is 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year?
Typically. So that is one thing that I got lied to about.
Okay.
So, for the most part, it's just a weekend in a month. But there are times where I've gone for 5 days in a month. When you're on the qual range for the M4s and light machine guns and all kinds. When we're running ranges and doing demo and stuff like that, they'll be a little bit longer, which I don't mind.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's something that would probably depend on your MOS, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so like if you're a cook, and you're in our battalion, you would have the same schedule as us because you're a support, so you're gonna be there with us as well. But yeah, my first year in my actual unit was 2019, and I didn't know, but we were gearing up to get deployed. I had no clue, and we're like, yeah, we got to go to AT, which is annual training, and it was a freaking month. I was down in Fort Pickett, Virginia, for an entire month, and I was like, what? Why? I thought it was 2 weeks, and they're like, yeah, no, we don't do that here. I was like, all
Were you
right.
in school at that time?
Yeah.
So you kind of have to just drop school and go?
So this was over the summer, so school was out.
Okay.
But yeah, I went to an Army school one time back in 21, air assault, and that was in April, and that's right when finals were coming through. But I was like, I got to take this opportunity to go to this school. So yeah, I missed 2 weeks of classes and then rolled right in the finals. Don't know how I passed them, but I got out of there. And air assault they say it's the toughest 10 days in the military. I don't know. But it was like mentally challenging because it's dealing with helicopters and stuff like that. And they just beat the crap out of you the whole time. But definitely a cool school. But I was like, yeah, I can't miss this opportunity. So
were you on a helicopter?
Yeah. For my final rappel. Okay. So we fast rope, or not fast rope. I forget the type of rappel it is, but you just have a carabiner you hook in. And yeah, we were up in a helicopter. So for the 3 days prior to that, we were on the rappel towers, just rappelling off that, going down backwards, full kit, coming down sideways, bunch of cool stuff. And then on the final, not the final day, but the final day for that phase, we got to go up in a Black Hawk and rappel down. And the whole time I was doing a rappel tower, like, I'm not afraid of heights. I mean, you got to be cautious, you know. Like, my nerves are up, but I've never been afraid of them. But for whatever reason, the whole time I was on the rappel tower, it's only like 30 feet maybe, I was like, man, this is so scary. Why am I shaking in my boots? And well, I guess the first time I rappelled, I didn't kick off. And they call it possuming. So I was upside down, hooked to the rope. And I was looking at the instructor, and he's like, get the F off my tower. And so I'm like trying to figure out how to jump upside down and all that. But yeah, so I was like scared of these heights for whatever reason. And then I got up in the helicopter. I was like, the only way down or out of here is down. So I was like, let's go. So I just jumped, let that thing wide open, and break right above my belay man. And I was like, that was the coolest 4 seconds of my life.
Wow.
It didn't take long to get down 90 feet,
yeah.
190 to 110 feet somewhere in there, because it hovers. But I was like, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Did you know that only 1% of the United States population serves in the military?
Yeah, they beat that into our head at basic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
Yeah, if you take the 1% serves, 70% can't because for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So the one weekend a month or whatever, you're still doing that. Is that? But you don't even know that one weekend could turn into a week, or is that pretty consistent? Or
so in the warmer months they get longer.
Okay.
Because you can do more. Obviously, weather's better, but they push a schedule out a year in advance.
And you go to your
we'll go to the unit, the armory, for like 2-day drills. But once we do some bigger stuff, we'll go out to Fort Indiantown Gap or Camp Dawson, West Virginia. Okay. And that's because they have ranges and stuff there, so we can get some good training in and stuff like that.
So you grew up a hunter?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then did that help? Being familiar with guns?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But hearing them semi-auto guns just going off, like, well, they're auto. Those M4s, they can be flicked to auto, but you're not allowed to do that, at least at basic. But hearing those, like, in just a freaking line of them, it was kind of like overwhelming. I was like, what the heck? But you get over it real quick. But yeah, definitely. I mean, if they don't care if you're the best shot, you know your way around every weapon system, or if you've never touched a gun, never seen one, you get taught the same thing. And I mean, they have a really good way of just teaching gun safety and everything prior.
So going there, you're a hunter. You think I'm pretty proficient. I can hit a deer. Whatever. So did you find that when you got there, you're like, oh man, I didn't know as much as I thought I did, or was it like pretty basic?
Well, the hunter, like the gun safety stuff, I knew.
Yeah.
My dad beat that in my head from when I was taught. So that didn't change anything. But every rifle we shoot has a scope on it.
Yeah.
We're down there with iron sights, shooting something at 300 meters. That's tough.
A little different.
Yeah. Didn't shoot as good. Didn't qualify on my qual as good as I wanted to.
It's when you're used to a scope and you go over to iron sights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
no zoom.
It's like learning a whole new way to shoot.
Yeah. Now, with shooting, I did learn a good bit because they have the fundamentals broken down. Your breathing, your trigger squeeze, your sight picture, something else that I'm forgetting. But, yeah, those are super important. And I brought them back home. Hey, it works.
Yeah.
That's no joke stuff.
I took my golf cart to a guy not too far from here. And started talking to him a little bit, and we got on this conversation. And he served, I can't remember what branch, but anyway, well, he must have been in the Navy because he told me he trained Chris Kyle.
Oh, yeah?
And he lives not too far from here. So
in boot camp? Or it's
I don't know.
But
he did tell me that when he first came home and started kind of going public with some, when Kyle became public.
Yeah.
He called him. He knew him enough to call him.
Okay.
And said that, what are you doing? Like, he was like, don't be quiet, don't. But anyway, so I need to find a way that I can verify.
Yeah.
That he actually did.
Yeah.
And then I would like to get him on the podcast.
Yeah. 100%.
So, but yeah, he just, when you look at him, see him, you think, no way. But
yeah,
he told me a few stories, and I'm like, man, maybe this guy's legit.
Yeah.
But
that's crazy.
I don't know. I was shocked.
Yeah. That's not a name
right
that
here in
just gets
Somerset County.
Yeah. Yeah. We actually had the first SEAL ever is from Somerset County.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So his last name is Beal.
Oh, in Meyersdale.
Yeah, the bridge is named after him.
Yes,
yeah,
that's right. If you go into the there at the bike trail, that little museum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's in there.
Yeah, and I think the reason he's the first SEAL is because alphabetical order.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they would have had a full class.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. So there's National Guard members right now at the southern border, right?
I believe, yeah.
Like they sent some down there to help out.
I don't think anyone from any PA Guard guys.
Okay. I think those are all like Texas National Guard or.
I think there's a guy. I mean, he's from Rockwood, but he's in the West Virginia National Guard.
Okay.
Because he was going to WVU, so it just made sense. But he's down at the border right now.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly if he volunteered to go, or it was his unit that went, or what. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
So, National Guard does deploy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right whenever I was looking into it, this was been Johnstown. I think they had just got back.
What year?
From a tour. This would have been 8 years ago.
So 2017.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they had just gotten back from Iraq.
Okay.
Or Afghanistan. I can't remember which one. So I was like, wow,
Yeah.
It just put it in perspective.
Yeah.
So any Have you thought about that? Any chance that your guys are going? Do you get like, bam, served a paper, like a notice, phone call, hey, we're going, or how do they let you know that?
So there's two things that the Guard will do. There's deployments, and then there's state activations. State activation, I get like a few days' notice. So when the riots were going on in Philly, I got sent out there for a couple days.
Okay.
I think I got told probably 24 hours before I left, and we shipped out to Philly.
Which makes sense because sometimes when an emergency happens, you're ready to go.
Yeah, so we were out in Philly for that, not far from the Rocky statue.
Okay.
Yeah, it was cool. I'll never go back to Philly.
Yeah.
But
At least not voluntarily.
Yeah. Well, I did like 2 months later because I wanted to see the Rocky statue.
Okay.
And then I was like, yeah, I'm not coming back here. They didn't clean it up from the riots, and that was 2 months later.
Oh, gee.
Yeah. Dirty birds.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah. It's a beautiful city. It could be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then there's deployments, and where am I at? In October, I'll have 8 years in the Guard. I've been told probably 4 or 5 times that we're going on a deployment. Things fall through. Someone changes their mind. There's rumors of going to Africa. There's rumors of going to Syria. Until you have the paper that says you got orders going, there's still only there's still another 15% chance that you're not going.
Yeah.
Until that plane touches down in whatever country, then you know it's real.
Yeah. Just the fact is, you just need to know that that's a possibility, and
yeah,
I mean, that's what you sign up for anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yep. I battle with that in my head. Do I want? Absolutely. That's what we signed up for. Is to deploy, protect the country, and do what we have to do. Are a lot of deployments necessary? Maybe not. A lot of the stuff that we get into, is it necessary? Probably not. But, then there's the simple fact that I got a life here too. Mm-hmm. I got a job going for me. I got, your friends are always, most likely they're always going to be here. But, the life you try to build here, kind of gets put on hold.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where you're at. If you choose to be active, that's what you're doing. And
yeah, your whole life is military.
Yes. And to do this, it's, you have a civilian life and you're a military life when you're called upon.
Yeah, like here I'm Austin.
Mm-hmm.
But out there I'm not a different guy, but I have a different role.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Lee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like it is a change of attitude a little bit.
Yeah.
And you have to balance those two things. But if you get sent, then you come back for a year, or you're gone for a year, or however long it is, and Rockwood ain't ever going to change. You know what I mean? I've been gone from Rockwood for a long period of time. You don't skip a beat when you come back.
Right.
But, you change.
Yeah.
And it's...
Yeah, that'd be difficult.
Yeah. I had a little bit of a hard time transitioning back after basic, which is, weird. Most guys have a hard time transitioning out of active military, coming back home, stuff like that. But, yeah, I had a weird time. I mean, getting up at 4 in the morning, getting told what to do all the time. You come back, you have that freedom to do what you want. It's I don't know what to do.
Right. Was there any part of you that kind of, did you ever think about going active duty?
Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then my life kept going the way I wanted it. And so I was like,
yeah,
things are where I want it to. So
decisions that you make in the moment, and yeah, good for you. So you're now a probation officer for Somerset County.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about what that's like?
Yeah, it's
got to be interesting at times.
Oh yeah. There's
you're not dealing with our best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a part of that percentage that couldn't enlist in the military. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you either get into law enforcement because you want to be a bully, or you get in to actually help people. Mm-hmm. And I try to help these people as much as I can, because being a PO, you see them once a month or more frequently if need be. But, like, you build a relationship with these guys. At least try to. And, like, I always tell them, hey, I'm not your enemy. I'm trying to help you get back on your feet and do the right thing. But I need you to do this. And if you don't, I got to do my job.
Right.
So sometimes that's a hard line to walk. But
yeah. So just talk a little bit about the actual job description. Do you work out of the jail?
No, we have our own office.
Okay.
Probation department. So I have a caseload of my active caseload. It's probably like 72. No, it's down in the 60s now. I've been kicking people off caseload because they're successfully completing, which is cool.
So somebody goes on probation because of a judge's order?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you get a DUI.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, you're going to get 6 months of probation if that's your first offense. So you have a couple like 2 DUI classes you got to go to. You got to go get an evaluation for drug and alcohol treatment, see if you need it or not, and you got to do a CRN evaluation, which I don't even know what that stands for. And then you got to pay your fines and stuff, which are hefty. But the goal is to get you have all that stuff done in 6 months, pay it all off, and send you on your way. Hey, let's not do this again. I don't want to see you again. And I get a lot of guys saying, "Hey, I didn't have a problem with you, but I hope I never see you again."
Yeah.
Which is fair.
So somebody's on probation. Then you hear some about violating your probation orders.
Mm-hmm.
You get called up.
Yeah.
You get calls from like state troopers saying, "Hey, your guy's out here."
I get some
milling around.
Yeah, or just recently I had a guy overdose, didn't know about it, and word got back to him, and I called him in, talked to him about it. He failed a drug test, went to jail. So. So we also deal with parole, and the difference between probation and parole.
Just to go ahead and explain it.
So probation's like a community sentence.
Okay.
So you're on 6 months, check in with me, do the thing. Parole is when you serve jail time, and then you get paroled out of jail to serve the balance on the street.
Yeah. When you get the bracelet?
Yeah, that's instead of getting jail time. So you got to mess up pretty good to do that. And
do your guys get bracelets?
Yeah, I don't deal with ankle monitor.
Okay.
I just deal with guys that are on the street.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so the guys on parole have a little bit of a tighter chain. If they violate, I can throw them in jail quicker than if a guy on probation violates. He'd probably just get resentenced to another 6 months probation.
Yeah. It'd be a tough job.
You got to make some weird decisions sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's case by case. 2 guys could do the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's different.
Yeah.
This guy might not might not learn as well going to jail. He might need to go to rehab. Whereas this guy, it might be his 5th time from rehab. I'm going to give him my own sober living, throw him in the jail.
So it's a constant evaluation of circumstances.
Yeah.
In an individual basis.
Yeah.
And you went to school for criminal justice,
mm-hmm.
and that's what, okay. And so you need that criminal justice degree to be a probation officer.
Yeah, something along the lines of, what do they call that? Some type of, human study.
Yeah.
I forget what the actual thing is, but, psychology, you could get in with that job, yeah.
Okay. Cool. Anything else you want to cover on the National Guard side, or anything that you think that somebody should know that we didn't cover?
National Guard, you can do as little or as much as you want in there. I sometimes get caught up in the idea that I'm kind of B team because I'm part-time soldier, but in reality, you can do more. So anytime there's a school to go to, I try to go to it if it works.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of 2023, I went up to Vermont for Mountain Warfare School. Coolest experience of my life. People paid big money to do what I did, and I got paid for it.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So go up there and just learn how to maneuver through the mountains. And you wouldn't think Vermont's very mountainous, but the place that you're at, you have every type of terrain you need to train on for mountain warfare. Do a lot of rappelling, A lot of rigging up ropes and able to lower systems down. Like if you had a casualty, you could lower them down a steep cliff face or raise them up. Learn a ton of knots, all kinds of good stuff that I actually use back home.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it doesn't go to waste.
Yeah. Well, we live in a mountainous area. You're hunting or you can be a part of a rescue team. Or if you're in a fire department or something like that, it'll all be useful.
Yeah. It's
for sure. How long was that school?
2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can seek out some adventure if you want to.
Yeah.
Like going to schools like that.
Yep.
Doing different trainings.
Yeah. Like I said with air assault too. Just went out to Fort Indian Town Gap for that. Not far from here. It's like 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Indian Town Gap has all kinds of courses going on out there.
Yeah.
You can get better in so many different scenarios or situations, but that's up to you.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to just skate by the next 6 years and hate your life because you have to show up to drill and it's not really what you want to do because you want them to pay for school?
Mm-hmm.
You can do that, but why not make it enjoyable and go do some cool guy stuff and just, I mean, the Army knows what they're doing with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Some stuff we could argue and say not, but a lot of stuff, they know what they're doing. You can learn a lot of valuable lessons.
And you can get training and come out to do a job in the civilian world.
Yeah. I mean, you could go in and be a combat medic.
Yeah.
You come out, that can transition.
Yeah.
You can be a truck driver, and you can come out with your CDLs, which is great.
Yeah.
Army pays for your CDLs.
Would you recommend somebody thinking about it to join?
Yes, 100%. If you're able to get out of your comfort, you need to get out of your comfort zone and see what is actually out there.
Yeah.
Rockwood's small, or wherever you're from is probably small. And I went to basic with guys from Guam, Maine, California.
Yeah.
My one buddy I was talking about earlier that I still talk to, he's from LA, like, go see the world.
Yeah.
I would have never went to Vermont if I didn't go to Mountain Warfare School.
Right.
Get out of your comfort zone. Do something that sucks because you grow as a person. And, I mean, every day you got to get 1% better. And if you can go to boot camp and get 15% better, let's do it. You know what I mean? Like, it sucks, but when you step back and you look at the big picture, you're like, that was worth it.
Yeah.
100%. Even if you don't sign another contract or stick it out till you retire, you did time, and then you kind of have the right to complain about politics.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Well, once again, hey, I appreciate you doing this. We thank you for your service.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. Proud of you. We're, it's good to meet you, and rooting for you if you got to go back. We're rooting for you here at home too, man.
Yeah,
So I appreciate it. Austin Lee, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yep.